What is going on, casuals? I was just thinking about how John Kiriakou, the CIA whistleblower, would be a great UFC matchmaker and president. Besides that, I'm going to be going through and matchmaking all the big winners on the UFC Belgrade Serbia card. We're not going to be going through these little ones. I will be quickly going through and telling you who I predicted, since I didn't make a prediction video or reaction video to it. So I'm going to quickly go through and give that. But I'm going to be matchmaking the big winners on this card. There are a lot of good finishes. Doesn't mean every finish was a good finish, but I'm going to be going through all of the big ones, the bigger names, and giving my next fight for them. For the predictions, I got this one wrong. I picked Spastic, whatever her name is. I picked Jovan Luka. I picked Nina Milicevic. I picked Mateusz Rebecki. I picked Dennis Bazooka. Picked Mark Vologdin. Picked Oben Elliott. Picked Ludovic Klein. Picked Milos Janicic. Picked Vlasto Kepo. I picked Robert Valentin. Picked Alexander Rakic. Picked Navajo Sterling. And then picked Uros Medic. 6 fights in a row I got wrong. Hey, it is what it is. Shit happens. But let's get straight into this. There a couple of these I'm not going to be doing. I think I'm going to do Mateusz Rebecki and then Nikolic and onwards. I'm going to do... Oh, actually, I'm going to do... The ones I'm not doing, I'm not matchmaking this. I don't care. Not matchmaking this. I don't care. Not matchmaking this. I kind of care, but not really. This one, kind of care, but not enough to do it. This one, I didn't really care about. This one. And then all the other ones I didn't mention are... I'm going to be matchmaking those. Starting off with Mateusz Rebecki. Absolute banger. He went out there. He actually just smoked Kyle Prepperlick. Kyle Prepperlick hasn't really been known as like a crazy good high-level fighter. But, you know, Prepperlick went out there and he gave a tough fight to Drew Dober in Canada. He had a decent showing against Benoit Saint-Denis in Canada as well. Was able to land some good shots on him. But Rebecki just goes out there with a smart game plan of utilizing his grappling, and he batters him. He beats the shit out of him, and he gets the first round finish. Gives him no space, no openings, just beats the shit out of him to a nasty, nasty first round ground and pound TKO. Great win. I was thinking we need to give him something like a Jim Miller, you know, someone else on a 1-fight win streak. Maybe not a prospect, let them build each other up. And I was like, fuck that. Fuck that. No one gives a shit about Mateusz Rebecki versus Jim Miller. Or some bullshit like Mateusz Rebecki versus Chase Hooper. We want to see him fight a dog. We want Mateusz Rebecki doing what he's known for, which is getting a fucking war. Alright? So how do we do that? How do we give Mateusz Rebecki a war? Simple. We give him something in France, quick. Axel Sola in France. Mateusz Rebecki versus Axel Sola is a fucking banger in France. And you cannot tell me otherwise. Mateusz Rebecki versus Axel Sola is a sick fight. Alright? Axel Sola is a dog. This guy comes out here to win. He's durable. He's got grit. He's got heart. He can go all 3 rounds. We know that. He can be the hammer and he can be the nail. We know he's got power in the feet. We know he's dynamic. And we know he can grapple himself. And Mateusz Rebecki, who is much more simple on the feet, but a little ball of explosive muscle, and who really kind of will utilize his grappling to dominate his opponents. I think this is going to make for a fun fight, a fun scrap, back and forth war. Put this on the France card. It's a fight night. Put this on the main card. Mateusz Rebecki versus Axel Sola. Main card of a France fight night. That's going to be sick. No questions asked. If you disagree, fuck you. Moving on. Borislav Nikolic. This guy only has 1 UFC spotlight. That's fucked up. That's fucked up. I thought this guy was actually like a really big like Serbian fighter. What's his significant strike accuracy so far? 39%. That's my goat. Borislav Nikolic. He had a great fight against Mark Vologden. Absolute banger. Uh, it was looking tricky for him at first. It was really looking tricky. It looked like Vologden was actually about to pull it off in that first round, but this seems to be the Vologden way of always having a really good first round, narrowly losing one other round, and then completely and clearly losing one round, and seemingly always getting like edged out. The second round was pretty close, but I mean, I think it was more clear of a Nikolic round than, let's say, round 3 of Vologden versus Martinetti. But great performance from Nikolic. He looked good. I was thinking maybe you give him someone like a Martinetti, maybe, or like a Davy Grant, but I think you give him someone with a little higher rank than that, someone higher up. Another fun, explosive, kind of like knockout power striker. Because Nikolic was landing good, powerful shots on Vologden, like the uppercuts in the third round that were actually wobbling Vologden if you like paid close attention. And Vologden kind of like sunk into him a little, into a takedown or a front headlock. So I was thinking, if you want Nikolic, who seems to be a fun, explosive fighter who will throw these big combinations against the fence, give him another explosive striker who could check him on that. Give him Adrian Yanez. Adrian Yanez has been looking sick recently. His strike, he's been looking a lot more accurate. He's been looking a lot more powerful. He's coming off a good win against Cody Garbrandt, but Cody Garbrandt isn't really that, that high level, or I'm not gonna say not high. I mean, he's not anymore really. So I'd say, give him someone like a fun prospect to come up on. Like Nikolic has that good grappling. All right, he's got good grappling. He's got decent striking. He's a bit of a brawler on the feet. But this is the type of guy, I mean, if Vologden was catching him with that left hook and hurting him, I mean, shit, dude, I think Yanez could catch him and counter him real bad over the top with the combination. This is the type of guy we need. The type of fight we need. You need someone, as long as him, as rangy as them, who's kind of as slick as him. I think Yanez would be a very fun matchup. It'd be a very good striking matchup, entertaining for the fans, and I'd expect it to be a real early finish. I'd say you book that. Book Adrian Yanez, Borislav Nikolic. Sick fight. If Nikolic wins, you got another like big Serbian fighter on the come up for Belgrade next time around. If not, no. If Yanez wins, fuck yeah, Yanez wins. That's big for me. I'm from Texas. I want him to win. So yeah, maybe I think it's a more favorable matchup for Yanez, but still, regardless, I think it's a dangerous one, and I think it's a great fight to make. Next up, Michael Oliveira, the fucking super soldier himself. I think this is what Michael Oliveira is what your parents want you to think you're gonna be if you eat your greens and your veggies on your plate that you don't want as a kid. It's like if you eat your greens and veggies, you'll be big and strong when you grow up. This is what they want you to imagine you're gonna be. Michael Oliveira is what they want you to imagine you're gonna be when you grow up. This guy is a fucking specimen. Oban Elliott has taken pretty big shots off fighters before. I mean, Jonathan Mikulev is a huge 170 welterweight guy. I mean, not Michael Oliveira. Jonathan Mikulev has pretty good power. I mean, he's a huge dude, and he hit Oban Elliott with like a clean left hook right on the temple, and it literally just like sunk Elliott for a second, and then he popped right back up. Michael Oliveira lands, the first clean shot he lands is a jab, and then immediately drops Elliott, and not like a not like a flash knockdown. I'm talking like a Larian Douglas versus Julian Orosa jab knockdown. And then eventually later on, he lands a 1-2. He just fucking sinks Elliott and he finishes him. This guy's a demon. This guy's a demon. Roid monster? Possibly. I'm not going to say that because, you know, there's nothing to say that. But fucking hell, I wouldn't be surprised if this guy was an actual Brazilian super soldier experiment. This guy's fucking frightening. He's so frightening and he's so fast and he's so patient and measured. He doesn't overextend himself like some of these other guys. Like, he's sick. And in his post-fight, he called out Chidi Njokuani. He said, I want to fight with the guy who I heard Jeff Neal pulled out of his fight. I want to fight with the guy that he was supposed to fight. I'll take it a step further. I think you should fight the guy that beat Chidi Njokuani. Carlos Leal would be a sick fight. Okay? Carlos Leal, we know he got slimed out by Muslim Salikov. You know, no shame in that. Muslim Salikov can fluke you like that. I think Michael Oliveira versus Carlos Leal is kind of like the battle of the unranked fucking unranked super soldiers. We know Carlos Leal is on roids. I mean, first of all, take a look at that face, that chest, that stomach, those shoulders. Have we seen do we have a photo of his traps? Of his traps or anything? No? They don't have it here? Well, that's unfortunate. If you've seen the photo of him during weigh-ins when he flexes his traps, this guy's clearly on roids. We know he is. He's popped before, but still. But we know he's decently durable. I mean, Chidi Njokuani was landing some good shots on him. Some good knees. But Carlos Leal versus Michael Oliveira is a sick fight. Michael Oliveira always brings the fight. This dude never... I feel like Michael Oliveira is like one of these touch of death guys. I know fucking Joe Roganism. He's just got that touch of death. But that's like actually touch of death. He touched Oben Elliott inappropriately one time and Oben Elliott died. Who does that to Oben Elliott unironically? Besides what are the fucking Figlak brothers? But oh my god, he's sick. He's a sick fighter. And But Carlos Leal, we know he's got that dog in him. That last fight against Chidi Njokuani was a dog fight. We know Carlos Leal will just back you up, and he'll get you against the fence, and he'll just start fucking unloading combinations if you give him the chance. We know Carlos Leal will just back you up against that cage, and he'll fuck you up. He'll fucking let his hands go. And I kind of want to see how he operates with someone like long and sharp like Oliveira, who's also kind of like a really big, like wide and like tanky physical specimen, putting that jab in his face. I want to see how he eats it and if he'll keep pressuring like that. Maybe Michael Oliveira just pieces him up and fucking slumps Carlos Leal. Maybe Carlos Leal teaches him that physicality means nothing and the pressure is there. It's such a good fight to measure where Michael Oliveira is as a striker, I feel. And to see, like, just how far he can go. Because I think if he can, with no issue, just slump out Carlos Leal, I'd say sky's the limit for him. But I think this is such a good, like, measuring matchup for him. Because we all know, like, Carlos Leal is good. But we know he's finishable. We know he's beatable. And I think this is the type of matchup that you give a Michael Oliveira to really test himself. Who knows? Maybe you just put him on that New Jersey card. Honestly. If he wants it, put him on that New Jersey card against and call up Carlos Leal. I think that would be sick. But moving on. Tafik Musayev. This fucking cheater. I mean, he beat Ludovic Klein clean. That was a very clean win. I think I'm not going to get over his fight against Ignacio Bahamondes, where he fucking headbutt him and he grabbed the cage after getting dropped and he just kept smashing his head into him, and I think he poked him in the eye at one point. I have no clue about that, but we know he grabbed the cage multiple times. We know he headbutt Ignacio Bahamondes multiple times, opened up a cut on him. I mean, Jesus fucking Christ, look at that forehead right there. But he beat Ludovic Klein clean. He outstruck and he finished Ludovic Klein on the feet. That is no easy task. Ludovic Klein is no slouch. Not in the slightest. Was piecing him up with the leg kicks. Didn't even really shoot for takedowns. So, he's a pretty fun fighter. We gotta give him that. He's a fun fighter. He called out for someone top 15. Sorry, bud. I got something better for you. What about Drew Dober? What about Drew Dober? Listen, dude, I think maybe we just, we accidentally spilled a certain color paint onto Tafik Musayev. No. We tan him up a lot, just enough, and then we activate Drew Dober's powers, and then he just slimes him out. But no, on a real note, I think it's a really fun fight. They're both coming off back-to-back wins. Drew Dober's coming off back-to-back KOs, and I think it would be a really good dogfight. I mean, Drew Dober isn't really susceptible to the calf kicks as much. He's got that Muay Thai background. He'll smash the low kicks himself. He'll smash the leg kicks and the body kicks himself. And I think Drew Dober has that kind of power because we were seeing Ludovic Klein land really clean hooks on the chin of Musayev. I think Drew Dober has the power to where if he lands those same hooks, he could really hurt Musayev and put him in a bad spot and really finish him. So I think you book Drew Dober versus Tafik Musayev. I think that'd be a banger. Maybe we wait till the next Azerbaijan card gets announced. Maybe we get an Azerbaijan card, or maybe an Abu Dhabi card later this year. Or maybe we do something real sweet for Drew Dober. Drew Dober, we know he's a Chad, we know he's a beast. Maybe we book him something in a MSG, pay-per-view of MSG, something like that. Maybe the featured prelim of MSG. But give him something. This is the kind of fight that we need, and really, I'm kind of doing this because I hope Drew Dober slimes him out. But on the off chance that Drew Dober loses, then we have Tafik Musayev coming off 3 really good wins. Bahamondes, Ludovic Klein, Drew Dober. That's enough, in my opinion, to give someone like a top 10, someone like in the 10 to 15 range, higher up preferably. You give him like a Tom Nolan maybe, or a Rafael Fiziev after that. Something real sick. But Drew Dober versus Tafik Musayev is what I would make next. And moving on, Gilbert Urbina, the RGV bad boy. The Rio Grande Valley bad boy. Vlasto Chepo is actually... What does he even do? Vlasto Chepo, what do you even do? What does this guy even do? We went out there, he swung fucking big meaty hooks. He swung big meaty hooks for a minute straight, landed fucking nothing, got hit by a jab, and Gilbert Urbina just fucking finished him. Got dropped by a jab, and Urbina pounced, and he beat the shit out of him. On a real note, great underdog win from Urbina. I think he was a plus 300 underdog, if I'm not mistaken. He was a plus 300 underdog. And, he got slimed out by Medic. He got slimed out by Charles Radke. But honestly, Charles Radke and Uros Medic aren't bad losses. And I think something else you got to look at is that was at welterweight. He's at middleweight now. He's looking a lot bigger, a lot better. He's only coming off the 1 win, but I think, a good next fight, Cody Brundage. Just saying. It's not... That was weird. Thought I heard something. Just saying. Not a crazy matchup. Nothing insane. But, Cody Brundage coming off of a good win against Andre Petrosky. Petrosky's, not a bad opponent to beat. This is the kind of matchup that you give Gilbert Urbina coming off the one win. You beat Blasto Chepo, a debuting guy, untested, probably on roids, and then came off for this fight. Let's give you a Cody Brundage. Cody Brundage has that fluky ability. We'll see if Gilbert Urbina has that ability to overcome that flukiness, but not going to dwell on this fight too much. Just going to quickly move past, but I think this would be a good fight, in my opinion. Next up, Robert Valentin. Really good win for Robert Valentin. Goes out there and he's fucking twisting Dusko Todorovic into a pretzel. Out scrambling and beating him in the positions. He's looking real good recently. His striking still hasn't shown much recently, but his grappling and his submission game is sick. He's a very good finisher. Coming off a good couple back-to-back wins. He had a rough couple of fights in the UFC. He had that fight against Ryan Loder. Didn't go too well for him. He ended up getting, I think he ended up breaking his arm or some shit in the first round in a submission, and then he lost a really tight and close triangle that he had almost finished. Then he had Torres Finney in a fight that you arguably could have given him based purely off the fact that Torres Finney did fucking nothing in that fight. And then he had that fight against Ateba Gautier, and his mom died that fight week. He had a rough go of things. He wasn't really all there, but now he's looking good. He's coming off a couple of good wins. That debuting Canadian guy. Don't know his name. Don't really care. What's his name? LeBlanc. Fucking. He beat a League of Legends character. That's crazy. But he's coming off of another good win against Dusko Todorovic. Dusko Todorovic isn't a terrible fighter. Nothing crazy. He's always felt kind of there to be finished. This is the type of guy that, he always seems like the type of guy oh yeah, I could, oh yeah, he's there to be knocked out, something like that. But I think something good that's next for Valentin, a couple of guys that are coming off real good wins. I mean, there's a Ryan Gondra, Damian Penis, but I don't want to give him none of those guys because, he's had the Teba Gautier fight already. I don't think we want to give him another explosive fucking upcoming one-punch KO striker. I think what's next for him... Now, I was originally thinking the winner of Jackson McVeigh versus Wes Schultz. Just because it was they would have been coming off back-to-back wins. It would have been sick. It would have been a good fight where they were pretty fun in the clinch. Good grapplers, too. We'll see just how good Robert Valentin is. But I was nah, let's give him something better, something actually valuable. Let's give him something like a Kyle Dawkins. Kyle Dawkins, I know he's coming off the Bone Nickel loss, but beating Michel Pereira by knockout on a week's notice or whatever he did it on in China, and finishing Gerald Meerschaert the way he did. Very, very good, impressive wins. He's not a bad opponent. We know Kyle Dawkins himself has really good grappling. They call him the Darce Knight. I think it'd be a real fun step up for Robert Valentin. We know Kyle Dawkins can be finished now. We know on the ground he can be dominated. But we also know that he's got pretty good striking himself. We know that he's got pretty good grappling himself. And I think it'd be a fun little step up for Robert Valentin. And I think this is the type of matchup that he kind of needs at this point. So I think Kyle Dawkins, Robert Valentin, it's a very fun fight. You could put it on the Canada card. Maybe not the Canada card. Maybe you put this on MSG, something like that, the prelims, an early prelim opener. Real fun fight, something big, a bigger spotlight for Valentin, but I think this is a really good and fair matchup to make, and a very reasonable matchup. I was thinking either this or you give him a what's his face, Jacob Malkoon, the bloody Mamba, whatever his name is, coming off the fucking really shitty performance against Gerald Meerschaert. But hey, it is what it is. Not everyone can finish the GOAT Gerald Meerschaert, and that's okay. But Kyle Dawkins, Robert Valentin, MSG, I think that'd be a sick fight. Next up, we got Alexander Rakic. You know, I think it's kind of crazy how he comes in as a heavyweight, and he's in better shape than Alex Pereira at heavyweight. But he was always a big light heavyweight. I think this move was always inevitable for him. I think we all knew he was going to beat Tybura. I think we all knew it was going to happen. He has no power, but he is still very athletic. He is still very fast. He's got good kicks. He's got good grappling, offense and defense. He's got the decent striking. No power, but his striking is good. I think he's gonna have a good run at heavyweight. I think he's got really good matchups available for him. Kind of a boring performance, but I think against a next fight that would be good for him. Nope. Taliesin Teixeira. That's what I wanted. Kyle Dawkins should not fight Alexander Rakic. I think Rakic could actually finish Dawkins very easily, but that's besides the point. Alexander Rakic versus Taliesin Teixeira. I think that'd be a good matchup. I think it'd be fine. Taliesin Teixeira, we know he's not all that right now, but Alexander Rakic didn't really show he's anything special in his heavyweight debut, so maybe if he can go out there and get a finish against a guy like Taliesin Teixeira, a big, long, fast, explosive, athletic heavyweight, I think it'd be a good look for him, but there's not a lot of options for him right now, so just kind of throwing one on the table. Maybe you do a Brando Pericic or a Vitor Petrino next, a Sergey Spivak, Ante Delija. Literally any one of these guys would work, a Derek Lewis or some shit. But I said Taliesin Teixeira just because they're both big, they're both long, they're athletic, and I want to see how Rakic can handle someone of Teixeira's size. Next up, Navajo Stirling. He actually just goes out there and he just dispatches and slimes out Jan Blachowicz. That is crazy. This dude is insane. No one has just done that to Blachowicz since Thiago Santos. So I think the only reasonable fight for him next is a number one contender fight of legendary orders, of something that will bring storm. Real easy pick, Yuri Prochazka. He's coming off the loss to Olberg. He's beat a lot of the guys in the rankings. I mean, he's got, Jamal Hill, Volkan Ozdemir, Khalil Roundtree. And, it's kind of like Olberg Part 2. Maybe not as a floaty as an Olberg, maybe. Maybe not as a bouncy and light-footed, and as tit for tat as an Olberg maybe. But Navajo has that dog. He'll go out there, he'll finish a fight, and we know now that he's made drastic improvements to his game, in that he is now another level. So I think Yuri Prochazka is the clear fight to make. It's a great number one contender fight. Absolutely. I think it'd be a banger fight. I honestly think this is the type of fight where Yuri would have another fight of the year type performance. But then again, every Yuri fight's an absolute banger no matter what. So, yeah, I think you do Navajo versus Yuri Prochazka next. Finally, we got Uros Medic. Slimed out and dispatched Tubby Man, Plotty Man, D-Rod in the main event. Took him 30 seconds. Insane. A lot of people have been commenting saying that, Uros Medic's next fight should be a. Uh, I think a lot of people are saying that he should fight Leon Edwards. I mean, he said Leon Edwards himself, and that he'll stop. I think Leon Edwards doesn't want to take a lot of these more dangerous fights. He took the fight against Carlos Prates, but I think he took that fight against Prates because Prates had a lot of name value, so that if he won, he saps a lot of that name value away from him. But Medic doesn't really have that same hype and name value as a Carlos Prates. I like Medic a lot. He's super fun. He's super entertaining. Very fun finishing fighter. But he just doesn't have that same. He doesn't have that same name value as a Carlos Prates, even when Carlos Prates was fighting Edwards. So I think a much more reasonable matchup for him next. Mike Malott. Mike Malott, someone else who doesn't have a lot of name value, isn't very respected. I think if Mike Malott goes out there, even if he beats Buckley, I don't think a lot of people are going to respect him, are going to give him the respect. So I think if you book Uros Medic versus a guy like Mike Malott, a lot of people are going to like the matchup because A, it's going to be like an actual big step up for Mike Malott, in my opinion. It'll be a much more dangerous, faster striking opponent. Someone who's not really on their way out, I would say. And I think the big upside for both of these fighters is Mike Malott would take it to get a lot of respect from the overall fan base as a contender. And Uros Medic would do it to get someone above him in the rankings. And I think this would be just a great fight to put on any main card or fight night main event, crowded fight night main event, let me be clear. Two really good strikers. Both of them have knockout power. Both of them are on a good win streak. This would be the type of matchup that's very much needed for both of them in their careers. That I think if Medic or Malott wins, then they get like a title eliminator, I would say. Because if either one wins, it's going to be by knockout. So, I think this is the fight you make next for Uros Medic. And let me know what you guys think down below. Let me know who you guys would match up who with next. Your thoughts, your breakdowns on everything. Give me your opinions. And yeah, that's about it. I'll see y'all later. Peace.